Everybody stop what you're doing. I have an announcement to make, even though I'm sure every single one of you watching is aware by now. For the first time since the year 2014, the Kansas City Chiefs have officially been eliminated from playoff contention. How the mighty have fallen, am I right? It's a shame because the piss poor performance from the Chiefs this year have finally caught up to them, and they are now out of the postseason, and they didn't have the refs to back them up this year. But I'd say the only thing worse than the Chiefs' performance this year is the NFL's performance this year. From their shit editing to their fucking wacky officiating to just the inconsistency of the teams as a whole, just the inconsistency of everything related to the NFL this year. This was absolutely the worst year to be doing a prediction series. Absolutely. And that's not me whining because I went 10-6 last week. I just am salty that I waited all spring and summer for the NFL to return. Something I look forward to every single fucking year. And this is what I get. Yes, I'm heated. I'm more heated than everyone will be after watching the Triggering Every Fan Base video part 2 that is coming soon. But enough of me bitching, let's get to the predictions. We got a beautiful start to Week 16 as the LA Rams take on the Seahawks in Seattle. This is a matchup between two of the NFC's finest... Well, let me relax. Two of the NFC's best record teams, I guess. But playoffs aside, they're both fighting for the top spot of the NFC West. The loser of this game will not only be beneath the victor of this game, they will also have the 49ers to deal with and try and stay above. The Rams just came off of a high-scoring victory against the Detroit Lions, where they turned up especially in the second half, dominating the Lions both offensively and defensively. Meanwhile, the Seattle Seahawks did no such dominating. They barely beat the Indianapolis Colts, who are starting a quarterback that hasn't played in over 5 years. Seattle did not score a single touchdown against the Colts that game. Not one. And I'm supposed to take this team seriously? I'm supposed to see this as a team making a deep playoff run, potentially even Super Bowl? How? Even the last time they took on the Rams, they lost. A close margin, but they lost. And I see them losing again. I have the Rams winning this game. Next, you got the Philly cheesesteaks versus the, whatever you want to call these guys. Now we have to call them the Redskins because they've been skinned alive from injuries this year. The Eagles temporarily stopped their run of blasphemy and just shit performance against the Raiders, shutting them out 31-0, as expected, so good for y'all, I guess. And the Redskins took down an equally fucked up Giants team. Now, at first glance, you might be thinking Eagles should win this game no problem, and I suppose you're right, they should win this game. The Redskins are a little too beat up right now and disorganized to be winning anything against any teams with a winning record. But the Redskins do know how to beat the Eagles. Over the past few years, the Redskins, they've seemed to at least get one win off on Philadelphia each year. Add that up with the Eagles' garbage performance recently, the Redskins winning is not impossible here, but I will play it safe and pick the Eagles to win this game. All I'm saying is if you're a gambling man or woman, just be careful because the Redskins, they do know how to take down the Eagles. I'm telling you. On part 2 of Saturday football, the Green Bay Packers will be playing the Bears in Chicago for a little rematch. The Packers fought hard but ultimately crumbled against the Denver Broncos, who continue their winning streak. Meanwhile, the Bears got, I won't say a free win, but a pretty easy win off on the Browns. These two teams met only a couple weeks ago, and it was a tight matchup with the Packers coming out on top. I actually see the Bears winning this game. It's being played in Chicago, and the Bears have been a relatively great home team this year, having not lost in their own stadium since week 1. And just in general, I feel like these two teams are a little too evenly matched for one to sweep the other. I see a split happening more likely than a sweep. But I do see the Packers winning if they drop 27 points, because they have dropped 27 points 5 times this year and managed to win all 5 times, which I find interesting. So yeah, we'll do that. If the Packers drop precisely 27 points this game, then that'll count as me rooting for the Packers. Otherwise, I got the Bears winning this one. Next, you got the Buccaneers taking on the Panthers. The Buccaneers, last Thursday Night Football, falconed against the Falcons. Like, how do you lose this game? How? It's the Falcons, and you're supposed to be the better team. I don't know what's going on with Tampa Bay, but they've been crumbling these last couple of months. They were looking like one of the NFC's best, and now they're starting to look like fodder. I mean, they were already fodder. Like, when you get to the postseason, they do largely nothing. All they've done for the past few years is dominate the NFC South, which is just complete basura. But Tampa Bay will have an opportunity to take back their trash division against the Panthers here, who now currently sit atop the division for the first time without Cam Newton. But speaking of the Panthers, they just got swept by the Saints. Are you kidding me? What the fuck is wrong with this division? What is wrong with this division and the teams that... What is wrong with this season? I don't understand. I don't fucking get it. Look... I got the Panthers winning this. Next, the Buffalo Bills will be taking on the Cleveland Browns. I can just see Shedeur Sanders moving the ball, really starting to heat up and get comfortable as a quarterback in the NFL. But his own team is his biggest fucking obstacle. It is infuriating to watch. I'm telling you, Myles Garrett, Shedeur Sanders, and Keyshawn Judkins need to get the fuck out of Cleveland. Like, give him to the Panthers. I see those three doing something on that team. You give those three players to the Carolina Panthers, that's a playoff threat. That's a Super Bowl contender right there. Hot take, but I think that's what would happen. Meanwhile, the Bills took down the red-hot New England Patriots, ending their 10-game winning streak by bouncing back from a 21-point deficit. It looked like it was going to be a Patriots ass whooping, and they ended up getting their ass whooped. Well, not really, but the Bills did bounce back from a 3-possession deficit, keeping their hopes of reigning over their division for yet another year alive, unlike some people. But yeah, as much as I want Shedeur Sanders to win, I think it's pretty obvious the Bills will be doing that. Next, you got the LA Chargers versus the Dallas Cowboys. The Chargers' offense was pretty poor, but their defense picked up the slack and managed to take down, sweep, and knock out the Chiefs from playoff contention. And later that day, the Cowboys lost to the Vikings on Sunday Night Football. They put up a great fight, but they didn't come with enough of it. And with that loss, the Cowboys are now one Philadelphia Eagles win away from being eliminated from playoff contention. And considering the Eagles have to go against the Redskins twice, that is not impossible. And I do feel bad for Dallas because coming off of a beat-up season and, making a lot of moves and switching shit up constantly, I thought they did fine. There were times where they looked like, a potential elite team. You saw some flashes, but they ultimately just could not keep it up. They're just not a consistent team, especially in the NFC where it is super competitive, therefore clogged full of actually good teams and, other equally mediocre teams that try to be good. Anyway, this should be a great matchup, a nice little back and forth, but I'm going to pick the Chargers to win this one. I'm not going to say why, because as soon as I do, they're going to fucking crumble. It happens every time.
That is one big pile of shit.
You'd have to pay me to watch this game, to sit my ass down for 3 hours and devote my time and energy to this. But then if you came back to me in June and July, I would be singing a very different tune. At that point, I'll be itching to get my fix in for some NFL content, no matter what the teams are. Even for a matchup as shitty as this one, I would be begging for this matchup like a needy little submissive bitch. Next, the Minnesota Vikings will be taking on the New York Giants. As I just mentioned, the Vikings took down the Cowboys on Sunday Night Football. They just woke up and decided to look like a playoff contender for some reason. But it's a little late for them, though, because now they're one loss away from elimination, and really they're at the mercy of their NFC peers. Meanwhile, the Giants managed to lose to a battered Redskins team, but at the same time, they themselves are pretty fucking battered, so I guess it's not surprising. Vikings should win here, though. Next, you get the Kansas City Chiefs taking on the Tennessee Titans. 5 years ago, this would have been the fucking battle of the ages. This was like a rivalry that everyone would come to see, fucking grabbing their popcorn and sitting their ass down on the couch to watch. And here we are now, and nobody gives a shit because both these teams are out playoff contention, and they really haven't looked good all year. For Kansas City, the only thing more concerning than being out of playoff contention is the Mahomes ACL tear. Yes, he tore his ACL. He's out for the season and is likely going to miss a fair chunk of the next season. So Gardner Minshew will be back there for the Chiefs this matchup, taking on a Titans team that got slapped around by, well, I can't even really say slapped around because they put up a bit of a fight, but they lost by 13 points to the 49ers. Now, I'm not going to get ahead of myself and say that the Titans are looking like they're starting to click or anything like that, because that would be straight up cap. But for the most part of this year, they were at rock bottom, like they couldn't get much worse. And now I would say they're a notch above that. I'm just going to fuck around and pick the Titans to beat the Chiefs. I can just feel it. I can sense it's going to happen. I have a vision, guys. Trust me. Next, you got the Cincinnati Bengals. Yes, they're back to being Bagels, taking on the Miami Dolphins. Both teams just last week were eliminated from playoff contention. The Bagels managed to lose to the Ravens, who they beat on Thanksgiving only a few weeks ago. They lost to the Ravens in their second matchup without putting up any points on that scoreboard, despite having 40 minutes of possession over the football. Meanwhile, the Dolphins got their ass whooped by the Steelers. All those points you see there, that didn't come until like late in the fourth. Those were garbage time points. They got owned by Pittsburgh. Both of these teams got dominated in the games that were supposed to keep their playoff hopes alive. Holy shit, this is a garbage matchup now that I'm looking at it. I guess I'll pick the Dolphins to win because it's being played in Miami. Maybe it'll be a little hot for the Bagels, I guess. I don't know. I'm just throwing that out there. I don't care. I got the Dolphins winning, though. Somehow we got an even worse matchup between the Falcons and the Cardinals being played in Arizona. The Falcons managed to come back from this deficit to beat the Buccaneers last Thursday Night Football. Like, why do you guys now want to be good? Now that you're out of playoff contention, why are you doing this? Why are you the way that you are? Why do you have to be such assholes to your fan base? Is this what they get for their loyalty? Meanwhile, the Cardinals got stomped out by the Texans, as expected. I value the box that my second to last phone came in more than this game right here. I guess I'll pick Atlanta to win since they wanted to turn up last week. I don't really expect them to win. I don't really know. Like, I don't care. I can't care. Like, it physically pains me to try to devote any type of brain power to this matchup here. I'm picking the Falcons to win. I'm leaving it at that. Finally, something interesting. The Jacksonville Jaguars will be battling the Denver Broncos. The red hot 11 in a row victorious Denver Broncos. The Jaguars, as expected of them, stomped out the New York Jets, continuing their 5-game win streak. But the Broncos, they took down the Green Bay Packers, extending their 11-game win streak. That Broncos victory managed to shut at least me up because I was talking about how they haven't really beaten a super difficult team up until this point, and now they have. So let me be quiet. But I can't say that for the Jaguars. It's been a minute since they've taken down any legitimate opponents. Despite their 5-game win streak, none of them were over high-quality opponents. So I feel like this will be a reality check for the Jaguars. I have them getting smacked in the mouth by the Broncos. Next up, the Pittsburgh Steelers will be facing the Lions in Detroit. The Lions fought hard, but ultimately lost against the LA Rams, losing the high-scoring game 41-34. See, now that the Lions aren't on their magical 15-2 run, they can see just how difficult it is to... Okay, that's kind of disrespectful. They've seen for fucking decades now how difficult it is to breach their way into the playoff picture in the NFC. They're starting to see how fucking jam-packed it gets up there now. Meanwhile, the Steelers dominated their opponent, which was the Miami Dolphins, on Monday Night Football, winning their 23rd consecutive home game on Monday Night Football and becoming the first team to have 2 tight ends rush for a touchdown. Here's the thing, though. Even though the Steelers looked dominant there last week, look at the quality of their opponents. The Lions are taking on the Rams, one of the best teams in the league right now, whereas the Steelers just beat the Dolphins, one of the fucking... You can't even call that a team. That's the Miami Devon A-chain. This is really the Lions' last chance to control their own destiny in terms of making the postseason. After this, like, if they were to lose here, they're at the mercy of the rest of the NFC now. They gotta hope for teams to lose and all that. And I do think the Lions are the much better team, so I'm gonna pick them to win. I believe these two teams tied the last time they met, so if they did that again, that'd be hilarious. Next up, you got the Las Vegas Raiders taking on the Houston Texans. Texans, if y'all don't win, on Sunday Night Football, the New England Patriots will be taking on the Baltimore Ravens. As I mentioned earlier, the New England Patriots' winning streak of 10 came to an end to the Buffalo Bills. They looked great in the first half, but all of a sudden they just blew a 21-point lead. What a damn shame. Meanwhile, the Ravens were busy taking care of the Bengals. As I mentioned, they shut them out, not allowing a single point. It was a rather light day offensively for Baltimore because their defense did most of the work keeping the Cincinnati Bengals off the scoreboard. And it's worth mentioning that the Ravens defense has stepped up significantly since the first half of the season, where they just look like a literal high school team. I'm actually gonna pick the Patriots to win this game, even though they just lost to the Bills. I don't think it was a momentum breaker or anything like that. I don't think that loss that snapped their 10-game win streak was enough to, break their stride or anything. Like, I still think they have a handle on how they play and what they're doing on the field, especially since they're about to go against a Ravens team that has looked fucking broken all year. So yeah, I feel comfortable picking New England to win this one. And finally, on Monday Night Football, the San Francisco 49ers will be taking on the Colts in Indianapolis. The 49ers are starting to look like a much more organized team, at least on the field. They seem like they're getting their groove back a little bit. Meanwhile, the Colts are now on a 4-game losing streak, which is stunning because the Colts were 8-2 at one point. They were on top of the AFC, number 1 seed and everything, and now look at them. This is a fall-off that needs to be studied. Despite their loss to Seattle, it was a very close game. Phillip Rivers, as I predicted, he wasn't really the problem, but he also wasn't the solution. Rivers himself was fine. He was sufficient. It's just all about getting the rest of the team together. So naturally, the 49ers look like the much better team here. But I'm going with the Colts to win here for one underlying reason. The 49ers haven't beat the Colts since 2001. I wasn't even alive yet. And I just really don't see any reason the streak would end now. Not to mention the 49ers tend to play like complete asshole on Monday Night Football games. So yeah, I don't think it's unreasonable to pick the Colts here. And I've done the math, and I need 38 more correct predictions to reach my 175 correct prediction goal, which means I gotta aim for 13 correct dubs going forward, which is a very tall order. And we still have week 18 ahead of us, which is always the fucking hardest shit to predict, because that's when the top dog teams are resting people, and the bottom teams are stepping up, just fucking around and somehow pulling out victories. I might be in some deep trouble here, but hey, we'll see how it goes.
But you were the underdogs. What did this team show against a really difficult Packers team?
That we're the overdogs.